Okay, and then we'll proceed, yeah?
In a particular village. And this particular village happened to be the maternal home of these triplets. And these triplets were warriors. And it was an abomination to find your maternal home, because our people believe that the world cannot exist without a woman. That is why God in Urobo is called Tamara. That means the woman, that the God that can do what a woman can do. And of course, in our Christian religion, there's a history of a woman who gave birth without meeting a man. And that is Mary and Maria in the Quran. And of course, the Quran accepts that too. So now, what now happened? Because these people, this triplet, they have what they call egba. It is made from the elephant tusk. The elephant is a symbol of strength and a symbol of flourishing. So these children decided that they will not go. But the last born, Irua, who is our father, said he will go for the war. And they sang to him, Irua ye, upaleka kwa fuwo, Irua o, upaleka kwa fuwo. You don't fight your maternal home. Eventually, the long and short of the story, Irua went to attack the maternal home. He thought he had conquered. Then, because he had Egba on him. So as he was coming, this story is in my book. That is on my book on eschatology. The books are here if you want to buy anyway. If you don't have money, I can give you. Anyhow, leave that thing. So eventually, a very little weakly shot an arrow at Irua. And Irua started swelling. And it was an abomination. If you die while you got swollen, you cannot be buried properly. You are thrown into the forest. So they now came home. The elders put their head together. How can an arrow pierce a man with Egba on him? So they now said, yes, this is a sign that there is something bigger than Egba. That is why in Esako, the sacred is called Osinonegba. In other words, Osinegba is the sacred, that powerful being that is stronger than Egba, the elephant, or than anything. And that is our African, not African, Esako concept of the sacred, that which is bigger than the elephant, that which is stronger than the elephant, and so on and so forth. So now you now go. So, but you can see ask this question: what does God mean to each partner in dialogue? Partner in dialogue, by way of clarification of terms, is we here who are talking together. And I can boast to say, all of here, we are partners in dialogue because we can tell each other some sacred truth. Like Aja can post something on Naira public webinar, say Aja, this one you post now, what idea as it get to? I've had there are times that Aja, without my permission, will even delete because he knows that I will agree that this thing will cause trouble. So we get it out. You get what I mean now? So the idea of the sacred, first of all, we have the vertical, that is the relationship between humanity and God, and we have the vertical, which is the relationship between human beings to human beings. But the vertical relationship cannot be complete and cannot be perfect if the horizontal is not in order. And so, what does God mean to each partner in dialogue? That is the God affirming Christianity different from the God affirming Judaism? Islam and traditional religions. Is the real concept of God the same for Catholics, Protestants, Evangelicals, and every Pentecostal ministry? Here, let me say something. I asked this question to somebody who gave it. In my own place, I don't know how many of you know Auchi here. Is there anybody who know Auchi here? Is there anybody who know Jetu? Jetu? Do you know Jetu? So something happened in Jetu. It was on a Sunday. Dr. Sumaya is like, you don't know Jetu. Let me describe it for you. Because I can see that you are asking, where is Jetu? You know Auchi? Have you been to Auchi? If you are going from Auchi to Agenebode, the first place you meet is Jetu. You will see Our Lady of Fatima College. That is my alma mater, the school I went to. So, do I call them bandits or terrorists? Okay, gunmen. Sometimes, this one, no, we are not unknown gunmen. They were known gunmen. So, these gunmen went into this church and opened fire. This thing happened, I think, about a year or two ago. So, instead of the worshippers to run away, they closed the doors, and they were able to overpower them with their guns and seize their guns. They took them to the police station. Who sent them? Another pastor from another church to go and kill the other pastor, Pentecostal pastor in another church. They were not Muslims. They all allegedly claimed to be Christians. Are you getting what I mean? So they now ask the pastor that sent them, why? He said because he's collecting their members and that he's running his church down. Now, you can imagine if they did not take time to do this. Why did one pastor attack the other pastor? Is it because of God? Is it because he's rushing these people to heaven, whereas me, I want to rush them to heaven? Was that a religious problem? It was not a religious problem. It was a commercial problem, a financial problem. And if we see this in this angle, we will be able to identify that a lot of the banditry we hear about has nothing to do with religion. It's about money. So the question is, the God that this pastor was attacked, the pastor that was attacked, the God that he's serving, and the pastor who sent gunmen to go and attack, are they worshiping the same God? That's a big question. Are they worshiping the same God? If you ask me, they are not worshiping the same God. Because the God that is the sacred cannot allow that thing to happen. The one that sent the bandit was worshiping himself. He placed himself as God, as the God. You know, we have the theory of let him come in. So you have Deus Otiosus and Deus Absconditus. That is East African philosophy. Listen to this if I'm lying. What is Deus Otiosus? Deus Otiosus is the God who created us and look at us. Deus Absconditus is the God who made us and ran away and abandoned us. So to counteract Deus Otiosus and Deus Absconditus, then the Tanzania people in East Africa had to invent the theory of Ubuntu and Ujamaa. I am because you are because you are. Then in the tradition of the Plateau people, the Jos people, at least I'm saying this authoritatively, I heard it from Kagama, who was their archbishop. He said, among the Plateaus, when you wake up in the morning, you look at your neighbor's eyes. They say, what do you see? You see your own image. That means this person can serve as sacred to you. So I've talked about two sacred phenomena now. The divine sacred and the human sacred. So God is one. Lie, healer, lying. Abi? But this God, the way our perception about God, the way we experience God or express God is different. So the concept of God, again another question, is the concept of God the same for all the sects in Islam? The Sunnites, the Harajites, the Ibadiyya, the Shiite, the Ismailiyya, the Sufis, the Wahhabiyya, Muslim Brotherhood, Ahmadiyya. Now, among the Christian Association of Nigeria, it's not every denomination that is a member of CAN. Just as in the Nigeria Supreme Council, where Akande? Is Akande? The Shiites, are they among you? Shiites, are they recognized in the Supreme Council?
Of course.
Okay. I didn't want to make mistake because I had a problem when I interviewed the Shiites during the Shiites, they were trying to pull down our gate here in the Federal Secretariat, and I happened to know one of them in Cardinal Nayoko Foundation when I was giving lecture.
The correction, I think the faction of the Shiites.
Don't worry, I will come to that. So when they were now trying to pull down because I was a Vatican delegate to dialogue with the Terrans, the Shiites, in Iran. So I called this guy and I interviewed him, and I told him I was going to make it public. But later, I was queried that I was supposed to have taken permission before I did that. But if I had to wait for that, then they would burn down this place. But coincidentally, that same week, because one of the top-ranking officials was killed by these same people. So then the Esunupe now said, "Oh, Father, I think we should allow you to dialogue with them." According the Shio of Borno too, at the Sultan, I accepted what they said. Now, the point is, the way the God that the Shiites are worshiping, is it the same the God that the Sunnis are worshiping? It's the same God, but their concept about this God is different. You get it? So in the concept of the sacred, the same for all is the concept of the sacred the same for all religions? That is a big question. Now, you have what we call the concept of God. Wrong concept of God. Saul, in the Bible, thought that he was doing God's work by persecuting and killing Christians. Until I ask how many minutes I have, I say make I talk. Now you are giving me time. Okay, say it's remaining 10 minutes. Even the remaining 10 minutes is too much. I for not finish. Now you say make I talk, and I can talk to tomorrow. You know I can talk to tomorrow if I want to. So now, this Saul, when he now encountered Jesus on the road to Damascus, he now knew that the God he thought he was fighting for was not the correct God. That it was the God of his mental imagination. Then the founder of the Wahhabi Islamic sect, that is Abdul Wahhab, introduced the war cry of the Wahhabis. He said, "Kill and strangle all infidels who give companions to Allah." On the day of battle, he gave each soldier a letter addressed to the treasurer of paradise. It was enclosed in a bag which the warrior suspended from his neck. The soldier believed that by dying in battle, he would go straight to paradise without being examined by the angels Munkar and Nakir. Many Iranian Wahhabis still believe in this teaching today. So now, in Judaism, they settle their belief in one covenantal God. Sacredness is found in time, that is the Shabbat. Christianity, of course, the Trinitarian God. Islam emphasizes the Tawhid, the indivisible oneness of God, Allah. The ultimate sacred reality is God himself. This sacredness extends to the Quran, the literal word of God. So the Arabic language and sacred places like the Kaaba in Mecca. So Hinduism, of course, features both monotheism and polytheistic expressions. The Buddhism, they have their own concept of God. So I've already talked about indigenous religions. Then I now talk about the global perspective. Sacredness is often found in interconnectedness. Mountains, forests, rivers, animals, and ancestral spirits are all viewed as possessing sacred life force, or spiritual essence. Rites and ceremonies are performed to maintain harmony with these natural and spiritual realms. So we have the sociological perspective that talk about, like Emil Durkheim, who suggests that the sacred represent society. You know, when I was the secretary of the Catholic Youth, we made a verse, we say, man is God to man. Because there are times the human person can really serve as if God has sent you as a message. So we can know about God, the sacred, without knowing him. We have all the theological books, but the question is, have you ever encountered God? Have you seen God is in your neighbor? And so on, so on. So this knowing God is relational. Our approach to people, the outcome is your transformation, mental reengineering, change of value from negative to the positive. I think so. We take example of St. Teresa of Lisieux, who said that prayer is not about reciting complex, but it's an encounter with God. The same with St. Dominic, who said that even when you are walking, you can encounter God through your neighbor. So I think that is okay for now.